Hey all, Tom Rand here from Tom's Big Spiders. This episode we're going to be featuring one of my favorite genera of tarantulas, Phormictopus. Now, anybody that's followed my channel or my website for any amount of time knows I absolutely adore Phormictopus species. I've been trying to, over the years, basically grab up any of them that are offered. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, there are a lot of new species available on the market, and I'll comment more on that in the video. So I've been buying a lot more of them up. So in this video, we're going to be doing a couple rehousings, actually about 6 rehousings, and as anybody with a keen eye will notice, these take place several months apart. I've been kind of holding on to them until I had a few of them to put together. So if you watch the tattoos on my arm, they change a bit over the course of it because they were filmed so far apart. But I wanted to put together a bunch of them because some of these haven't shown their adult colors yet, but I've had people asking me, hey, what do they look like? What are you seeing with these? Because I think a lot of folks are getting interested in Phormictopus, and they know I keep a lot of them, and they want to know, hey, what am I getting if I drop 150, 250 bucks on one of these new species that are being offered? So this will be kind of an update on that. Also, I am still doing the Phormictopus video with Robbie from Robbie's Talking Tees. Where the holdup is me. I've been trying to get good footage of everybody I've got, and every time I go to get some footage of one, somebody will molt out, show some beautiful colors, and I don't want to show drab spiders. I want to show them so that they're looking really nice. So that is still coming ahead. I mentioned that during the video too. So enough of me talking. Let's take a look at 6 different Phormictopus species, smaller Phormictopus species, their rehousing and the care. All right, we're about to rehouse my Phormictopus species Byahibae. I picked this one up from Kelly Ferenz, KNF Inverts, in May of 2021. I got 3 of them. I already rehoused one of them off camera just because she had grown quite large. I wanted to get her into a new one, but I have my 2 other ones just molted. They definitely need new enclosures. So these enclosures here, when I got them, they were pretty good sized slings, about 1 inch or so, and I know that Phormictopus grow rather quickly, so I put them into something larger than I would normally put 1 inch slings into, but this thing here is about 8 inches by 4 inches by about 3 inches deep. Worked out pretty well. They did burrow. These guys have been a little more reclusive than some of my other Phormictopus species. I found that most of my Phormictopus species will do some burrowing, but these guys remind me a little more of the Auratus in terms of they were burrowing all the time, not coming out very much, and not very visible. They were also a bit more finicky as far as eating is concerned, where some Phormictopus, you can drop a prey item in that's about the size they are, and they will wrestle it down and eat it. These guys, I had to kind of stick to size, the smaller size for them to make sure that they ate. But they grow rather quickly, and this one now is probably around the 4-inch mark, so it's definitely outgrown this enclosure. So what we're going to do is put it into this one over here. All right, so this is the enclosure I'm putting it into. This is one of the ones I get off of, I think it's M Design makes them. I will put a link. Hopefully I'll remember to put a link, although sometimes they're difficult to find. But these guys are about, I think about 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 by about 12 and a half or so, 11 and a half. We'll go with that. I'll put the actual dimensions up. But they're pretty good size for medium-sized spiders. And then what we have in here is a mixture. This is the last of my peat. I bought a whole big thing of peat a while ago. I've been steering away from using peat, but it's a mixture of peat, cocoa fiber, some topsoil, some sand, and some vermiculite. We got leaf litter, because I like the way it looks. It just makes things look nicer. Some moss and our cork bark hide. We'll see if they continue to burrow. I'm actually kind of curious to see if they'll keep burrowing once I put them in their new enclosures. So with that said, we're going to get this one out. I think I might be able to just get her out with this. There you go. Hold on. Let me get, Billy wants to get an image of her. I'm not sure how long she's going to stay out there for. Now, Phormictopus genus is an absolute disaster right now, and what's happening is I'm seeing a lot of different quote-unquote species being offered by different vendors. Who knows if these are actual new undiscovered species or just different versions of the P. Cancerides. That's kind of the gamble. If you spend 250 bucks or 200 bucks or 150 bucks, whatever it is on some of these new Phormictopus slings, there is a chance that it's just going to be a different color of Phormictopus. That's why we're seeing a lot of different ones out there. I'm willing to take the chance on. I absolutely love the genus, and my buddy Robbie and Robbie's Talking Tees, we kind of have a little competition going to see who can find more of them. He tends to get them first, unfortunately, the bum. I'm just kidding, Robbie. But it's one of those ones that we're both trying to grab them all, and it seems like every time he and I grab all the ones that are out there, they come up with new ones. So time will tell. I will say this one does look different than my Phormictopus. Any of the Phormictopus I raise, and I did have Phormictopus, or any of the Phormictopus cancerides I raised. I've had Phormictopus cancerides. I've had Phormictopus species purple that were just a different type of cancerides. So I'm seeing a different looking spider, but time will tell. So let's go try to shoo her out. Be careful. There you go. There you go. New home. I do like the overall, I don't know if it's coming out, but there's like a bronze, purplish bronze overall coloration on her limbs. And then her booty's got like this red color to it. Oh, there we go. Now behavior, these guys have been very, very skittish. I actually have very well-behaved Phormictopus species. I know a lot of folks report that theirs can be very defensive. Folks have described them as ornery, vicious, demons. I really don't get a lot of issues. Do I get threat postures from them? Occasionally, yes, and it's usually when I drop a prey item in and it startles them out of standby mode and they kind of hop and throw up this impressive threat display, but I've never had one really strike at me. The fangs aren't bared, and it's more just for show, and they usually just reorient themselves, realize, oh, this is food, and they go and start eating, and they're perfectly fine. But most of them just sit there like pet rocks, honestly, so I guess I'm very fortunate in that respect, and I think I currently have, I want to say 12 different variants, species, colors, whatever it may be, and all of them are fairly well behaved. I will say again though that these guys have been a little more skittish and less bold than my other ones, which can be evidenced by the fact that they burrow and stay hidden and they won't take down those larger prey items. A couple times I dropped in what should be a decent sized cricket or roach with them, only to have the spider run away from the roach, and I dropped in a smaller one, they grabbed it no problem. So there we go, Phormictopus species Byahibae. I'm very curious to see the adult colorations on these guys, and Robbie and I will be doing a video. We were supposed to do it last summer, and it was my fault. I got busy, I lost track of time, but showing off some of our Phormictopus species for folks that are buying them. And I think now that we've got a bunch of these more obscure ones, I believe these guys, the Byahibae, it's like the Byahibae purple or Byahibae violet or something like that, so they're supposed to be purple spiders. We'll see how it goes. They did, when I saw pictures of supposed adults, they did look different, a different color purple than the Dominican purple spiders, so we'll have to see how that goes. And there we go, Phormictopus species Byahibae. Let's let this one just kind of settle down. Oh, and I will be putting, because I'm going to forget, the water dish in. And I will fill that up in a moment. All right, next up we have my Phormictopus species Salinas. Picked these up from Arachnoid Den back in March of 2020. At that time, they're about 3/4 of an inch or so. I guess, what is that, about 2 centimeters or something? I'm trying to get the centimeter thing in my head. I'm slowly learning it. But these guys have been awesome. Picked them up originally. I had them in larger dram vials. Then I moved them into these containers here, which are about, I think, 5.5 by 5.5 by, we'll say, 7 or so. I love these. I used to pick up a bunch of them at Walmart, and they're nice for larger juveniles. They're also good for ones that like to do some burrowing. And this one did do some burrowing, so did her, we'll say sister, I don't know, could be brother, did some burrowing as well early on, but they've been out in the open like many of my Phormictopus species. They will burrow when younger, but once they hit that size where they lose their blues and start picking up the browns and bronzes, I noticed they're a lot more bold and sit out. Both of these guys have been great eaters, been rather bold overall, a little less bold than maybe my Phormictopus cancerides, but they ate great. They're growing rather quickly. This one here is probably about 4.5 inches or so, and you can see the colorations coming in. I will say the colorations right now are looking very familiar. They do look a lot like the regular Phormictopus cancerides I've kept, but I love all Phormictopus species, so if I end up with just a bunch of different colored cancerides, I'll be perfectly happy to keep them and raise them up. Now, a note I didn't mention in the previous video how I kept my Phormictopus species, but usually I give them some moist substrate to start, enough to dig in. I give them hides, you know, the moss, all that stuff. And as far as feeding, they're usually great eaters. They will, as slings, usually take down prey that is larger than most slings their size would take down, which is awesome. And this particular specimen here was no exception. I give them water dishes. Juveniles, again, I keep it moist. I will say when they hit the adult range, when they hit their around 5.5, 6 inches or so, you can let things dry out a little bit as long as they have a water dish at all times. What I will do is moisten things down and then let it dry out. Then I'll moisten it down again, let it dry out. So they spend some time with it dry. They tend to do perfectly fine. I've had them molt in the dead of winter when it is cooler and when it is a little bit drier, and they've had no problems doing so. So what we're going to do here is try to get this one into the new enclosure. And how are we going to do that? Probably should have taken that cork bark out, but what we'll do, right in there. Open this up. I just want to point out, and I mentioned this earlier, these guys have I'll say a pretty bad rep for being super defensive, and I've had really good luck with all mine. I know I mentioned it in the earlier rehousing, but it bears repeating. I don't know what it is with mine, but they all seem to be very laid back. I get very few threat postures, and the ones I get are deserved, because what will happen is the spider's sitting there in standby mode. I'll dump a couple crickets in where the crickets will bounce off it, and the thing throws up a threat posture, but then starts eating again. So this one here, we'll see if now she's given some more room, if she wants to use that hide and adapt it and do a little bit of burrowing. I'm guessing she probably won't. She'll probably be right out in the open. That's one of the reasons why I absolutely adore Phormictopus species. A, the females keep those lovely colors. So if you have a purple species or a green species or a gold species, the females will keep the colors, wherein the other giant tarantulas, think of Pamphobedius, a lot of them will lose those colors later on. They're also very visible tarantulas, and anytime I have a bunch of Phormictopus species, and anytime I want to get pictures of them, they are right out there in the open to get pictures of, and they usually pose very nicely. I don't get a lot of threat pose or anything from them. As far as the hair kicking, I think I've gotten hair kicked at me maybe once. I've read other people have said they have specimens that kick hair more. I've actually had people ask me if they lack urticating bristles or hairs because they don't kick. They can kick, they just don't kick very often. So are there ones out there that will kick? Obviously, I'm not going to discount that. Other keepers have experienced some kicking. I just haven't experienced much of that at all. So as far as specimens, spiders go, these guys are super hardy, great eaters, grow quickly, just awesome spiders. The only thing keeping them from being on, say, a beginner's list is the potential for them to have the nasty temperament. And I think that's why a lot of people are very hesitant to recommend these to beginners, because at the end, most Phormictopus get to be at least 8 inches or so as adults, and 8-inch angry spiders can be quite intimidating, quite frankly. So are they beginners? For most people, no. For somebody that gets in the hobby and tends to jump in pretty quickly, feels pretty confident with it, they can probably do fine with them. But it all depends on whether you're going to get one of the calmer specimens or one of the more high-strung ones that's going to be flapping those giant arms at you and bearing those fangs. So there we go, Phormictopus species. Salinas, time will tell whether or not this one is an entirely different species or just a fun coloration of Phormictopus cancerides. I don't mind either way. I love all Phormictopus, and I will love them just as much. All right, we're about to rehouse 4 Phormictopus species, not big, beautiful adults, but kind of sling/juveniles. I picked these up in October of 2021 from Joe Rossi, and they've been growing a little more slowly than some of my other Phormictopus, and I think part of it is the fact that I kept them in these smaller containers. Thinking back, a lot of my Phormictopus species, I immediately put in much larger containers like the ones we have over here to start. These were smaller when I got them, and I'll try to see if I can put up some footage of how small they were. So I put them in these. They're eating well, but they're a little shy, and I got a funny feeling it's to do with the fact there isn't a lot of room for them to get around in here, so they're a little bit coy. But these, just to give everybody a heads up, it's the species Sierra, species Santiago, species Oriente, and species Sabana. And these are all recently entered the hobby, both in the United States and overseas. Whether or not they're actually truly going to be new species of Phormictopus, time will tell, or whether or not they're going to be just color variants of pre-existing species that we already know exist, like, for example, the cancerides. Who knows at this point? I did see some pictures of the supposed adults, and they did look beautiful regardless. So even if they are color variants, it'll be worth it. But the whole genus is now kind of a disaster, much like Xenestus and Pamphobedius. They're finding new species. They're tacking on the species, the quote-unquote species, tacking on that species label and wherever they find them from and selling them on the market for huge amounts of money. So hopefully they end up being different species, but there's a very good chance that years down the road, after somebody studies this genus more closely, that a lot of the ones that we've been buying and spending a lot of money for are just going to be Cancerides or Atochromatus or something of that nature. But we shall see. So what we're going to do is do these one by one here. I don't foresee much of a problem. We'll start off with the Santiago. Funny story about this little guy here. And we'll see if he or she does it again. I went to check on him the other day, and I was actually feeding him, adding moisture because it was getting kind of hot up here. And this one was scrunched up in the corner, and I opened the top of it, and I poked it with a brush, and it just flipped over, and I thought it was dead. And I was all upset, and I did my, oh, and I went to go dump it out to see what was wrong with it, and all of a sudden I saw a leg twitch, and the thing got up and ran. So it actually played dead. I've had a couple spiders over the years play dead. It always kind of cracks me up. Kind of cute. Oh, the containers here are Sterilites. I do not, people keep asking me for links. I don't buy these online, and I haven't been able to find a link for it. So I do get these when I find them. They're usually, I believe we get them at Walmart. They were gone for a while. They had a different version. They didn't have the gray. They had the green. Actually, right over there is one of the green ones. So if anybody asks, but then they found the ones with the gray or the silver. They're clippets or latchets or something, and they're about 7 by 5 by 5.5 deep. I'm sure I'm completely off with my dimensions, and I'll put the actual dimensions up. But I love these for juveniles that do a little burrowing. Sometimes even use them for arboreals because it gives them a little room. So who do we have here? We have the Santiago. Santiago, I need to shut up and rehouse the spider. So you can see this one here is looking pretty portly. Probably a molt in his or her future. Now, we're going to go in here. There we go. Nope, that's not right. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. What are you doing? What are you doing? Nope. Nope, nope. Listens like the dogs. No, what is this? What do we, no! All right, that worked great. And we're going to go right back in here. It's kind of funny because she's literally being defiant. Yeah. Like it's like, screw your brush, I'm going wherever I want. All right, so I told Billy beforehand this would be really quick ones because we were just going to pop in, and I lied. No. For crying out loud. Does not want it. Boom. I'm just going to say a naughty word. There we go. All right. So hopefully the rest go better. That's actually not bad. As you can see, they're kind of very... Slings can be quicker. I'm sorry. I just bumped Billy out of the way. Slings can be a little bit quicker, but that's pretty low key. So if we're going to get a walkabout, I'd rather have it happen with a slower species. So one done. And I know I keep talking, every time I do Phormictopus, Robbie from Robbie's Talking Teas and I are going to be doing a collaboration with Phormictopus because he might be ahead of me now, I think, as far as the number he's got, so we want to show some of them off. But what happens is we keep picking up new Phormictopus species, or like in this case, I'm waiting for some of these guys to molt so I can see what they look like. All right, so we have species Sierra next. And this is more just a lineup because this is one of the, we did a Phormictopus rehouse a while ago and I actually mislabeled one of them, and I got a mystery spider. So here we have Sierra, another one, nice and fat. And I'm going to go ahead. I did put, I'll talk a little bit about how I got these set up. I did put moist substrate in here, and then covered it with a little drier stuff. Much more well behaved. Yeah, and again, for having them, I was kind of shocked that I bought them in October. I've almost had them for a year. And they're really, really small. So normally these guys grow super fast. So that would lead me to believe they're not Cancerides, because every Cancerides I've ever every Cancerides I've ever kept has grown very, very fast and hit like 4 inches in the first year at least. So that is Sierra, and I will put water dishes in afterwards. I do have water dishes for them. We always got to make that clear. So we have Sabana next. One of these guys is actually okay, so I'm starting to get it. No, that's Oriente, who's dug out. Oh, yes, Sabana's big. I'm not going to mess around too much with that one. You can see some of the adult, well, juvenile colors coming in. Yeah. All right. Little bum in the air. Aw. So that is Sabana. And next up and last up we have Oriente. And the Oriente, I'm pretty sure, just dug. Yep. You're able to see her butt way down in there. Nope. Oh, this one's a little faster. Yeah, those other ones have been pre-molt. I don't know if you can get a shot of her before she inevitably bolts and we have to go catch her, but I keep saying she. I'm hoping I get she's. I will. No, I don't want to jinx myself. I'm going to jinx myself. Out of the 20-something Phormictopus, I think I've had close to 20. I've ended up with 2 males, so I've had pretty good luck. Now watch every single one of these be a male, because unfortunately I only bought, they were so expensive, I only bought 1 of each. Nope, easy there, buddy. All right, so there we go. That is the, whoop. Let me put this thing on right. That helped. Man, that one's a, holy crud. That, as I was saying earlier, the other one was slow. I think the other one's a pre-molt, which is why it's slow. So these guys, very, very easy to keep. Phormictopus, I found, knock on wood, have been almost indestructible for me, which is why I freaked out the other day when I came in and I thought one of them was dead. When they're slings, I give them, obviously you want to start them in larger dram vials and give them moist substrate, a couple inches of moist substrate. Give them a little starter burrow. They will dig. They will kind of stay in here. But then what happens is after they start putting on size, they tend to be a little more visible. Then I will move them up to something this size. If they were a little bit bigger, I could even go a little bit bigger with it. But these are nice for the juveniles. And then once they get around 3 inches or so, you can almost drop them right into an adult enclosure, although I'll sometimes put them into something a little smaller in between. So there we go, 4 species of Phormictopus. I will keep people updated. I've had a lot of people asking me about these species because, again, they are available. I think some of them are still available at certain dealers. And everybody's curious as to, you know, what they look like, what they're gonna, colors are gonna be when they mature. I don't know yet, but hopefully with these bigger enclosures, we'll start seeing them molt out quicker, and we'll have some nice adult colors so I can kind of start telling people what they're gonna look like. So I definitely have to walk back my statements on the Phormictopus species and the fact they look like just regular Phormictopus cancerides after I shot this video. Even during the video, I don't think it was coming out to my eyes, but it came out on the camera. I've noticed some very nice coloration showing up on the legs. I'll show a little picture up here where you can see blues. Was not expecting that at all. So definitely something different from the regular old, I hate to say run-of-the-mill cancerides because I absolutely adore that species, but something letting me know that these are probably not just cancerides, or I guess they could be just super cool color variations of them. Time will tell. But anyway, I'm hoping now that I've got these guys in larger enclosures, we'll start seeing more size from them. It's weird because normally when I keep Phormictopus species, they put on massive amounts of size that first year. They can go anywhere from a 3/4 inch sling to 4, 4.5. I've even had one go to 5 inches in a year's time. And these guys are growing a bit more slowly. So let's see moving ahead what happens. I'm very curious to see what colors they'll bring. And again, as I've stated a couple times, even if they end up being just Phormictopus cancerides in different color variations, who cares? I'll take a Phormictopus cancerides in any color that you'll give me. So that will do it for this one. You guys know the drill. I'm going to put a circle up there. You can subscribe to the video if you've never seen me before. People that watch my videos all the time probably get bored of this, but I just kind of go on autopilot when I get to these. And I'll put a couple more videos over here, maybe ones featuring Phormictopus species. If you take the time to comment, I will take the time to respond. Just know it can take me a couple days, tend to get a lot of comments. Guys, that'll do it for this one. Stay safe. We'll catch you all next time.